morning. Welcome back to the Risk Management for Small Businesses series. In the first 5 episodes, we talked about concentration risk, which was the first risk that we have looked at in this series. From this point onwards, we are going to be looking at compliance risk as it relates to small businesses. And in this episode, I will provide you with a comprehensive understanding of compliance risk. And we are also going to be looking at its importance and then look at the key categories that you as a small business owner should be thinking of in relation to compliance risk. So let's get started. Starting with its definition, compliance risk refers to the potential or probability of making a loss resulting from your business violating laws, regulations, industry standards, or internal policies and procedures. So compliance risk is more of a consequence that you face for non-compliance with legal and ethical obligations. What we are saying here, guys, is compliance or you being compliant just means that you are following all the rules, guidelines, laws, whatever it is that you are required to follow as you operate your small business. But I'm sure as you are running your business right now, you would know that there's a high possibility that you are breaking certain laws or you are actually not following all the rules and guidelines that you're supposed to follow. And because of that, you actually stand the chance of damaging your reputation or maybe facing closure or even be taken to court with any of these governing bodies or be it the public. Now that you know what compliance and compliance risk is, let's now look at the importance of compliance risk. And I'm sure that you might actually be asking yourself a question of why are we even talking about compliance and why are we discussing about compliance risk? Or maybe you have heard about compliance risk somewhere and you've always been wondering why it is a topical issue in today's businesses. So to help you answer that question, there is actually a word called sustainability. I'm not sure if you have heard of it, but I'm sure this is one thing that majority of the business leadership bodies agree on, to say that for a business to be sustainable and operate into the foreseeable future, it has to follow the rules and regulations. And it's actually born out of the different scandals and crises or corporate wrongdoings, which, number one, have led to the establishment of new regulations and laws. Then number two, also led to the tightening of how these companies were being policed on following existing laws. So as you know, the 2008 crisis, which we would suppose was actually pushed mostly by the US market, was as a result of different financial companies not following the rules and regulations that they were supposed to follow at that time. So this then led to the development of different laws and actually tightening of how these companies were being policed to follow the laws. And from that came out the idea of sustainability, to say that for these companies to actually exist for a long period of time, they have to follow different laws. So now, because of the issue of sustainability, then we have a push on the idea of compliance. And if you are not compliant, you would then be exposing yourself to compliance risk. Now, let's look at the key categories of compliance risk that you are supposed to be thinking of as a small business. And one thing that you should understand on this part is that each industry may have its specific compliance obligations, but then there are some common areas where small businesses often face compliance challenges, and these include the following. So the first one is financial compliance, and this just encompasses compliance with financial reporting standards, tax obligations, anti-money laundering laws, and other financial industry regulations. And then on number 2, we've got data privacy and security. And then number 3, we also have employment and labor compliance. Then number 4, for those small businesses who are into manufacturing and producing a lot of waste, there is also environmental risk. And then number 5, there is also workplace health and safety. Then number 6, there is also corrupt practices. Then social responsibility. And lastly, we have quality, where you stand the risk of delivering a product or service that falls below industry expected standards. So in the following episode, I'm going to discuss in detail some of the categories that I've mentioned here. And these act as a guideline that you should think about when looking at the different compliance risks that you face. So let's say you've lined out all these 8 different categories, and then you'd actually start off thinking about what are the different laws that I might be breaking today, which fall within these 8 different categories. Remember guys, you own a small business and you may not have the capacity or the resources to fight your way through compliance related consequences. So it might actually be cheaper for you to just comply to the rules and regulations which you are required to. So in summary, we've talked about what compliance risk is, its importance, or why it is very topical in today's businesses, and also lastly covered the different categories that you should think of when looking at the different risks that you face if you are non-compliant. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode. If you find it helpful, be sure to subscribe to our channel and visit our website for more valuable resources on risk management for small businesses.